Yo, what the fuck is up, guys? It's your boy, J3420 and or Jordan. And if you're fucking special, you call me Young Sweye. How the fuck's it going? Today, not only are we coming in with a hot one, it is hot as hell today. If you reside in the Texas area and it is over 100 degrees where you live for the next week, every single day, I'm praying for you because I'm in the same exact boat. Without further ado, let's just jump smack dab right in the middle of this topic. Now, before we get started, if you're smoking along with me, of course, if you got your joint or your blunt, you're the fucking goat. If you're on the fucking edibles, you already know the dealio. Give yourself a good 30, 45 minutes. Let those hoes kick in. Go watch a Goblin video. Go watch Dr. Disrespect. I don't even know who the fuck is popular. And then come back, And if you are one of those insane people that are just taking dab rip after dab rip and wonder why you aren't getting high after the third dab rip, well, this one's for you, buddy. Anyway, let's dive right into it. So today is actually kind of like a little bit more of a serious topic. Not that any of my other topics weren't serious, but this is just kind of a deeper, very much deeper topic. But I'm going to explain to you guys and kind of give you an introduction to something on my channel, but that will be explained soon. But the introduction for today is how I started making music, what motivated me to make music, what ultimately led me to begin writing for the first time. You know what I mean? So this is something that haven't really told a lot of people. Certain people ask and I tell them, but like I said, it's a deeper topic, and at the same time, not everybody wants to hear it, and not everybody wants to basically hear the reason why I began to start writing music. But we'll get into that. So let's jump into it. So again, I'm not too for sure how long this video is going to be. I don't plan on it to be longer than, 30 minutes or whatever. I also don't plan on, cutting this up into parts. But what this will do is introduce not only a new series that I have planned for the channel, but it would also introduce a bunch of other stories. There's a lot of people involved in this scenario. There's a lot of different things that kind of came together at way different times that made this event happen, which led me to start writing music. So there's a lot of different stories that tie into this one thing. So that's one of the main reasons why I'm introducing it now, is just so chronologically speaking, whenever I do talk about those other stories, it will make sense as to where you already have a background knowledge, I guess is what I was really trying to say, of what's going on and during this time of my life. So I started writing music whenever I was 15 years old. I had just turned 15. It was in 2014. And to go back a little bit to give you guys the actual story of what happened, I was in and out of this very stupid relationship at this time. And I think I said I was 15. It was in 2015. If I said 2014, I mistook it. But it was in 2015, I remember. And I was 15, about to turn 16. But I was in sophomore year of high school, and I was talking to this girl who we're gonna call her Jacqueline. And Jacqueline was a freshman at the time, and I was a sophomore. And the way that I met her was through one of my best friends to this day. And her name, we're gonna name her we'll name her Sam. So Sam introduced me to Jacqueline because they were on softball together. And once I started talking to Jacqueline, we just kind of hit it off. It was just kind of like one of those things. The chemistry was there. We were kind of like quote unquote inseparable for a minute, and it's just one of those things. At the same time, this was also one of my first ever experiences and real experiences, not only with a girl having interest in me to that degree, but also just like actually reciprocating said interest back. You know what I mean? Like, of course, I had my little quote unquote girlfriends, back in middle school. I was a little player in middle school, boy. I would be back and forth, switching hoes like it was Blueface's clothes or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Every single day I had a new girl in middle school. So I didn't really, count those as relationships. It didn't bother me. It wasn't one of those things. I was way too immature to even understand, even to the point where I was with Jacqueline. I was way too immature and not ready for an actual relationship, at least the one that I was trying to build. You know what I mean? And long story short, like I said, we were inseparable. But then some time passes and Jacqueline hits me with the classic, you know, my parents won't allow me to date until I'm 16, yada, 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 and all this other stuff. And then so I was like, okay, give her a break and we'll come back at it. So we still talked, but we weren't really like dating, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward to her birthday, which was a couple months before April or whatever, but she didn't turn 16 this year. She turned, she was turning 15. So I would have had to wait, like, basically, in order for me to date her to what she said her parents' standards were, I would have had to wait until my junior year, and she was a sophomore. That was basically uh, where we were at, because her birthday was in September. And then, so, long story short, um, we just kind of, like, secretly dated. And then, over time, this was all in a span of, about 7, 8 months, because of, it started around her birthday, which was the September of like 2014, right whenever we were getting into school. And whenever the aftermath of everything kind of hit was around April of 2015, which ultimately sparked everything. So, moving forward a little bit into the relationship, we would always break up and get back together. Break up, get back together. Break up, get back together. It was super toxic. But every single time that we broke up, she would try to play hard to get or ignore me or something like that. Just like she wouldn't talk to me, blah 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 blah. And then she would make it apparent that she, you know, wanted to try to make me jealous by hugging up against different guys or doing whatever with the other guys while she saw that I was at lunch or something like that. Just real petty shit like that. And then, the times that she would want me back and I would be too naive to go back to her, you know, she's explaining how she wants me to be like my only, the only guy that she actually, boyfriend wise, she wants me, she's talking about getting married and all this other shit. And I'm like, yo, I am not even 16 years old, so it was crazy. But at the same time, I was just stuck in this, like, I can't even explain it. Like, I don't know if it was just like a headspace, a trance, both. I don't know if I was like hypnotized. I never had sex with this girl, but like, it was just so deep, so much deeper than I would have ever thought at the time. But looking back and learning from it and experiencing it, it was so fucking deep. The type of games that she would play. And it wasn't just me. She played every single guy she was with. I mean, to this day. And I hate to be the guy who got her pregnant, because she is pregnant. But she's been playing dudes since me. And I hate to be the founding father, but your boy was the founding father of this fucking thought. You know what I mean? And I'm just lucky that I didn't sexually get involved with her like everybody else did, you know? So that's where I struck out. And that's where I got my luck. Everybody else is so much more down the hole. But anyway, long story short, I mean, I'll explain more about Jacqueline whenever I actually have the story of, I plan on having a full separate story dedicated to her and whatever. But that just kind of gives you a rundown. But anyway, we were back and forth for 8 months, and then it finally got to the point where she was, I guess, kind of over me. And I just couldn't really accept that. You know what I mean? And so I was battling. I was going through depression really hard. And this was probably like in March, like the end of March. So leading up to the first week of April, blah blah blah, which April 8th is the day that everything changed. April 8th, 2015 was the day that everything changed. So this is all leading up to the April 8th date. So this is like late March, I start feeling this like really bad depression. And at the time I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what I was going through. But I was just really sad. It was hard for me to get up in the mornings. Um, I would literally go home, like get home from the bus, and then like basically just pass out and sleep. I would do my homework and shit like that at school. And then but like the moment I got home, I would literally just lay down and sleep. And then my dad kind of like picked up on it a little bit, and he was like, "Why are you sleeping so much?" I didn't know how to tell him what I was going through, so I was just like, I'm just tired from school, whatever, blah blah blah. And then I tried to like kick my routine a little bit, so then I started like playing like Call of Duty, and like just started playing Call of Duty a lot more heavier. You know what I mean? Like I always played it growing up, blah blah blah. But this I like whenever I started like really trying and stuff like that. And I had one of my homies, his name was Hugh, and he was in the little he was like in the comp scene a little bit. He was with the shits with the GBs. He was getting paid a little bit. So we started running the GBs. We started making a little bit of money, but that's also is beside the point. That's another story for a different day. But you know I start earning a little bit of money, and I start enjoying. But of course, while we're playing, because we're playing a lot, there's not much to talk about. So eventually we get on the topic of girls, and then I explain to him everything that was going on. And he was a good homie. He was there for me and whatnot. But he was like, "Bro, I know exactly what you're going through, bro, and you need to listen to this song." And I was like, "Okay, that's weird that he would recommend me a song." And he was like, "Nah, bro, just trust me, because like this dude explains what you're going through and yada yada yada, and it's gonna help you." And I was like, "All right, word, whatever, blah blah blah." So he sends me the song, just came out, and if you're a real one, if you know this song, you are a complete real one. If you know this song or know any other song by this artist, because to this day he is still unknown, but to this day he's still my favorite artist for this reason. But it's "Move On" by Whit-Lori. He sent me that song. That song literally just came out like not even 2 days before that we were talking about it. So it was just kind of like a blessing in disguise kind of type thing. But, obviously we're going to get into that. But, I listened to it, and at first glance, I'm like, it's cool, it's deep, I like it, but I didn't really understand it. And I'm not going to go too in depth about that song, but that song's about a previous relationship that he was in, and it didn't end in the best of ways, and they were always back and forth, in a very toxic relationship. And the first and third verses are written in his perspective of the relationship, and the second verse is written in the perspective of his ex-girlfriend, like written in her shoes and her eyes, how she went through it, blah blah blah. And I think it was really dope, because even to this day, not many artists are able to do that and story tell that well. And yeah, basically Whit-Lori, big ups to Whit-Lori, because he is the reason for everything, just so you know. But so yeah, so at first I didn't really understand it. It didn't really hit me like that, and I was just like, it's dope, but I just kind of brushed it off, right? And then a week and a half goes by, maybe 2 weeks, because we're on April 8th at this point, right? And essentially, it was like a day before, I was hanging out with Sam and another friend of ours, who I'll call her Tarkisha. So Sam and Tarkisha, and we were staying the night at Tarkisha's house. There's no way I'm gonna keep this in. But if I do, her name is Tarkisha. But yeah, so we were at Tarkisha's house, and something happened. I can't really remember what happened. I just remember me and Sam were having a conversation. about some like what we would do if our moms were in danger because we cared so much about our moms. And even in that sense, like each other's moms, I've been friends with Sam for like almost 10 years. She's like literally my best friend. But regardless, Tarkisha just didn't like any of it. She wasn't having any of it. So she threw like, I wouldn't say a tantrum, but it just kind of sparked an argument that sparked a different argument that at that point, a whole bunch of bottled up emotions that I didn't know how to express, that I didn't know how to feel, just came up out of nowhere. Like, literally came up out of nowhere. Like, I literally expressed my love to fucking Sam. I expressed my love to freaking Tarkisha in a different way. It was just really weird. It was just like everything that I've ever felt in my life, like, ever. Like, looking back at the time, I didn't understand it. I didn't know what it was happening, But everything that I had felt up to that point that was so detrimentally important to my being was felt at that moment of time. And I just exploded. Every single pain, every single instance of sadness, every single instance of happiness, every single instance of tragedy, whatever had happened prior to my life that I had suppressed for the front 15 years of my life just exploded. And I freaked out. Like, I freaked out. This was like, it was a very scary moment for me. It was I guess looking back at it, probably one of my very first anxiety attacks. And it was a scary moment, and it just led to a lot of different things. For lack of better terms, and to kind of not really say stuff that I can't say on YouTube, but it led me to almost take away my own life. So it was like on April 8th, I was contemplating the thought of taking my own life, very close to doing so. And at that point, whenever I was at the closest to doing it, I thought to myself, I don't want to, go out in silence. I would like to hear something. So I decided that I wanted to play some music, and I was like scrolling through my SoundCloud, and I just pressed shuffle real quick, and then a bunch of like hype songs were playing, and I was just like, I need something to kind of like match this mood. So the first person that I thought that made sad songs or just deeper songs was W.T.H, and was that song Move On that Hugh had showed me. So I played that song, and I listened to it, and I really listened to it. I really listened to the lyrics. And as I'm listening to it, I'm getting closer to the act or whatever, and I'm just thinking to myself, I was like, I don't know, man. I'm just gonna have to just go to the next song. And I just, clicked the next one that I saw, and it just happened to be Kindest Regards. I don't know how old this song was at this time, but it was, I think, still a fairly new song within the year or whatever. But I clicked on it, and I was listening to it, and I was like, okay, this is cool. It's starting to make sense. Like, a lot of things that he's saying aligns with what I'm saying, or like thinking and feeling. And then I was like really close, and then I heard this line that said, this is somewhere to go when your heart becomes cold and your friends become fake. And it was like at that point that like clarity awoke in me. I dropped everything that I was doing. I restarted the song, and then I heard it. I replayed it again. And then at that point, my father walked in from work, so I definitely wasn't going to do it while my dad was home. So I just listened to W.T.H for the rest of the day, that song for the rest of the day. And if it wasn't for that song, if it wasn't for that line, I would not be here talking to you. I wouldn't be here making music that sparked literally everything. The next few days, as I was listening to W.T.H just continuously, religiously, listening to his discography, listening to every single one of his songs in depth to the fullest capacity that I could, to the point where the appreciation that I have for music, not only did I appreciate music growing up, blah, 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 but with the level of intellectual storytelling and with the level of lyricism to the point to where I respected music at that level, it was because of With Lori. It was because of this moment. I respect music tenfold because of this song and because of those songs and because of this moment of my life. But it really, 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 his music really opened my eyes to the point to where I was like, maybe I could benefit from doing this. I didn't never had the plan to start writing music. I just had the plan to start writing, and I just started writing. I was just writing, just writing, just writing. Every single time I had a moment to write, I would write. And it was just, that's the only way I knew how to get my pain out, was by writing. I couldn't talk to anybody about it. I couldn't tell people, like even the closest people to me, Sam, Tarkisha, I couldn't tell them. I've been friends with them for years at this point, but I couldn't tell them, the only way I could truly express how I was feeling and what I was feeling when I was feeling it was through writing. And slowly it turned into rhyming, and then it kind of slowly turned into like different poems and stuff like that. And then just like over time, fast forward like about a year, as I'm hanging out with like friends experimenting with, I wasn't really necessarily smoking weed at this time, but all my friends were experimenting with weed. I was the designated roller, yada yada yada. This was prior to my first high school party, a couple months, This is like the summer, leading up to the first high school party, leading up to the first time that I smoked. This is at the beginning of that summer. But I'm just kind of BS freestyling because my South African homie loved to freestyle, so we just always freestyle and just say stupid stuff or whatever. And then one person, realized, one of my friends realized that I wrote a lot, and then he also realized that I rhymed, and he was like, I had like written a couple like BS songs, but he was like, bro, you should really start making music. And I was like, maybe. Maybe. But at that point, I just kind of started writing more structured poems, I guess you could say. Structured in the sense of what I would think a song would go, or how I think a song would go. And I just had like imagined beats in my head, and like basically my whole plan was to like become my own producer or something like that. It was just a weird, I didn't really know what to do, but I just started writing music, I guess. Just started writing lyrics, and the rest is history. But now here we are in 2022, and it's been 7 years writing music, and going strong and doing all that stuff. So it's just crazy. But I really had I don't know how to explain it. Just something told me to make this video today, and it really just introduces so many different topics, so many different stories that I have planned. And then finally, I can explain to you what my new kind of series is going to be. But it's going to be where I go back and kind of like almost as if it's a genius interview, but not a genius interview. I'm going to explain to you guys what my songs, their meanings, and why I wrote them. And I think it would be a fun way to express my emotions that not many people get to see. And you don't get to see that side of me on a daily basis, so it's gonna be really sick. So I plan on doing that once a week, and then planning on making the opposite video being a story time. And then so that will go until the wheels fall off. So I don't have a series name for it or whatever, but be on the lookout, because the next video that comes out will be that. It's going to be really sick. But yeah, that has been my story. I don't really know what to call this. I don't really know how to title this, but if you've made it this far, comment GOAT, because you are the fucking GOAT. If you listen to every single one of these minutes, I think it's about to be a 29, 30-minute video. If you listen to every single one of these seconds, minutes, and you're up at this point, you didn't skip, you didn't do nothing, you're the GOAT. Much love to you. You're much loved. Like, you're loved. Way more than you. Anyway, this has been your boy Jay Sturdy, Jordan, and or fucking Young Sweye. And stay tuned for more, because we got a bunch of more shit coming. Peace.